Hey everyone, welcome to my channel and thank you for joining me for another missing video. Today's case does not have a lot of information, but there are sufficient details that the person or persons involved in this story, they could be recognized in my opinion. I also wholeheartedly believe that no matter how old a case is, it can still be solved. No matter how much time has passed, someone out there could still know something. Now, I found this case on the Charlie Project and I felt I needed to cover it because it's one of those cases where you just feel that there is someone out there that has the information needed to crack this case wide open and reveal the truth. Before we get started, I want to give my usual disclaimer. I mean absolutely no harm or disrespect in telling these stories. I am simply trying to spread awareness, and with that being said, let's get into today's case. In 1983, Mary Crocker was a struggling and overwhelmed mother of 3, possibly 4 children. I've seen articles stating 3 and others saying 4. Some reports also state her husband was in jail at this time, while others state he was in the home. I'm unsure which is more accurate, but Mary, along with her 3-month-old son, Matthew Crocker, 1-year-old daughter Elizabeth, and an older child or 2, whose ages and names I do not know, they all lived in Van Buren, Arkansas, which is located in Crawford County. In June of 1983, the annual fair was in Fort Smith, Arkansas, which is only about 6 miles from Van Buren. A male friend of Mary's had met a female rodeo worker at the fair named Kathy Johnson, and this Kathy lady traveled with the fair. The male friend suggested to Mary, the overwhelmed mom, that she should take Kathy in and have her help out with the children. Mary agreed to this. I don't know why. I assume that Mary just had a lot on her plate, caring for 3 kids on her own, and she likely trusted her friend and never thought someone close to her would suggest taking in a person that was untrustworthy. So it was agreed upon that Kathy would stay in Mary's home for 1 week while the fair was in town, and Kathy would care for the children in exchange for room and board. So while Kathy was staying in the home, she had told Mary that she was 26 years old and that she had previously given birth to 2 children, but they had both died shortly after they were born. Kathy said that had her children lived, they would have been ages 9 and 6 that year in 1983. Mary likely felt bad for her and probably thought that's why Kathy wanted to help with her children, because she missed her own babies. Kathy was not there to make friends or help with the children, though. She probably didn't even need a place to stay because carnival workers or traveling rodeo employees usually all stay together in campers or tents, don't they? The ones that come to my town do anyway. I'm really not sure, honestly, but with the events that were to come, I don't think Kathy was there simply for a place to lay her head at night. On the evening of Thursday, June 9th, there was a get-together or a party in Mary's home, and the attendees were drinking alcohol. As the night was coming to an end, 3-month-old baby Matthew was extra fussy. He just would not stop crying, and Mary couldn't get him calmed down. Kathy offered to take care of him so that Mary could go to sleep, and Mary was probably relieved, and she handed him over and went to bed. When Mary last saw her son Matthew, he was in a crib with his 1-year-old sister Elizabeth. She had no idea that it would be the last time she laid eyes on her baby boy. The next morning, when Mary woke up, baby Matthew, Kathy, and all of Matthew's baby items, everything needed to care for him, were gone. Also missing was a 1973 Chevrolet Vega that had been parked outside the night before. This vehicle belonged to the male friend that had introduced Kathy to Mary and suggested that they help each other out. Thankfully, the other children were still safe in the home. Mary immediately notified police that her son had been abducted, but she didn't have a whole lot of information to give them about the woman that had allegedly taken him. I mean, honestly, Mary did not know this Kathy lady all that well. They had pretty much just met. The stolen Chevy Vega was quickly found about 30 miles away at a rest stop along I-40 in Sallisaw, Oklahoma. Kathy nor Matthew were located at the rest stop, but someone did come forward saying that they had overheard a woman fitting Kathy's description talking at the truck stop, and she was heard saying that she was heading to California, and investigators believed she would be traveling through Utah to get there. Law enforcement's theory, which I believe also, is that Kathy took Matthew to raise as her own, and it seems anyway that if this was her plan, she succeeded, or at least has for the past 38 years. Neither Kathy nor Matthew have ever been seen again. Police were never able to track her down. No one came forward to reveal her true identity or her location. And from what information I could gather, the only thing investigators were able to find out about her was that she had worked with a man who traveled to Kansas with a snake show. This snake show guy she worked with has never been identified, so cops never got to speak with him, but they still want to.
The family automobile and all of Matthew's belongings were gone, and that's remained a mystery now up till this time.
Bob Lowry with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children says he believes it's possible Johnson took Matthew to raise as her own son.
Typically, women are abductors, just as what we suspect in this case, and the children are taken so that that woman can rear that child or raise that child as their own.
After so many years, Sergeant Perry says they're relying on someone recognizing Matthew's photo or Johnson's description.
We're just hoping now that there's more databases and there's more information sharing to the point where somebody comes across this lady with those tattoos that used to be Kathy Johnson.
Lowry says he's confident that even after all this time, Matthew is still out there.
We have reason to believe Matthew's alive and well, and that we'd like to find him.
Sergeant Perry says he just wants Matthew to know the truth.
Hopefully, reunite him with his family, and I'm sure that'll be traumatic for him.
I have a lot of questions regarding Kathy being able to just disappear without anyone knowing anything. When the other fair or rodeo workers noticed that she didn't come back to work, wouldn't they be worried about her if she just disappeared? Or maybe they didn't know her all that well either. I wonder if any of them were questioned. If the fair and rodeo had packed up and left town by the time Matthew was reported missing, the group of carnival people could have been tracked down at their next stop and interviewed, but I don't know if they ever were. The car, the Chevy Vega, was found at that truck stop in Sallisaw, Oklahoma, so either someone was there waiting to pick Kathy up, she had another vehicle stashed there, or she got a ride with the truck driver. Someone has to have seen her there. Besides the person, that said they overheard her saying she was going to California. I feel like she would have needed help getting out of Dodge without raising any red flags to people around her. Now, with newborn babies, well, Matthew wasn't exactly a newborn, I guess. He was 3 months old, but he was still pretty tiny. If you are a parent, you know how much a baby's looks change month to month. If someone saw him even a month or two after he was taken, he probably didn't look just like the pictures that were being circulated anymore. Little babies grow and change so much that it's possible he wouldn't have been recognized, especially if Kathy kept him hidden for a while. If Kathy went to stay with family after she took off, she probably could have easily claimed Matthew was hers. She traveled with the rodeo, or the snake show guy, so her family probably hadn't seen her in a while. A pregnancy and a birth while she was gone may have been believable. Also, in 1983, I'm sure it was a lot easier to forge a birth certificate than it would be now. I'm unsure if there was any DNA collected from the vehicle and saved that could be tested now. Even though 38 years have passed and Matthew likely doesn't resemble his baby photos at all, there are some details that could help find Matthew and Kathy, some very distinguishing characteristics. Matthew was born with a pectus excavatum, a concave chest, also sometimes called funnel chest. This is a condition in which a person's breastbone is sunken into their chest. It typically worsens as children get older, especially during growth spurts, and this condition, if severe enough, can eventually interfere with the function of the heart and lungs. A lot of times it needs to be corrected by surgery, and this procedure is usually done while the child is still very young. If Kathy was taking proper care of Matthew, he would have needed to see a doctor, get the corrective surgery done. I think there would be medical records, and he would still have that scar from it on his chest today. Kathy had a chipped or rotten front tooth and multiple scars. She had a 6 to 7 inch scar on her shoulder blade, a long scar on the back of her right shoulder, and a puncture scar 6 to 8 inches above her right knee. She also had several noticeable tattoos, a green and or yellow star or sunburst on the left side of her chest, a unicorn on her upper left arm, and the name Kathy with a ribbon above it on her upper right arm. She may have also gone by the name Judy. Hair can be dyed, teeth can be fixed, and tattoos can be removed with laser treatments. But maybe you know someone that has or had these tattoos back in 1983 and may or may not still have them today. Maybe you are a dermatologist and you remember removing these specific tattoos for someone, or a dentist that fixed a tooth for a woman with these tattoos. Someone out there has to know who this woman is. Now, obviously, it is probable that Kathy Johnson was not this woman's real name. She wouldn't give her real identity to the mother of a child she planned to abduct, surely. I know people sometimes do get their own name tattooed on themselves, but it's much more common, in my opinion, to get the name of someone else put on your body. So I don't think it was her name. Maybe the name of someone in her family that had passed, her mom, her sister's name. Maybe it was the name of one of her children she claimed that had passed away. Maybe it was a friend. I don't know. I really don't think it was her name. So the idea that this Kathy woman took Matthew to raise as her own son is the main theory, but I've seen another one, and that idea is that Kathy never existed, that she was a fictional character used to cover up the fact that Matthew's family was involved in his disappearance, whether it be intentional or an accident. I personally don't believe this theory. If that were the case, I don't think Mary, Matthew's mother, would have reported him missing as quickly as she did and pushed for police to find him. Although it's been 38 years and I can't find reports on it, I'm sure police checked into that possibility right away. I could be completely wrong, but hopefully they did. Matthew was born on February the 12th of 1983. When he was abducted on June 9th of 1983, he was just 3 days shy of being 4 months old. He has brown hair, brown eyes, and was 2 feet 5 inches tall and weighed 15 pounds in 1983. He was born with a pectus excavatum or concave chest. His case is classified as a non-family abduction. If Matthew is alive today, he would be 38 years old. No doubt going by a different name, different birthday, possibly even a different age, and he likely has no idea that he is not kin to the woman or family who raised him. Maybe Kathy didn't even keep him. She could have given him to someone else that wanted a child. Who knows? But I do suspect that he is alive out there, living under an identity that he doesn't even know is fake. Kathy Johnson is described as a Caucasian female about 5 feet 4 inches tall, and she had blonde hair back in 1983. Now, I'm going to go over her scars and tattoos again, just because I feel that that is super important information and maybe someone out there will recognize them. She had a chipped or decayed front tooth, a 6 to 7 inch scar on her left shoulder blade, a long scar on the back of her right shoulder, and a puncture scar 6 to 8 inches above her right knee. She had a tattoo of a green or yellow star or sunburst on the left side of her chest, a tattoo of a unicorn on her upper left arm, and a tattoo on her upper right arm of the name Kathy with a ribbon above it. If she gave the correct age of 26 in 1983, she would be around 64 years old today. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Matthew Wade Crocker or Kathy Johnson, please contact the Van Buren Police Department at 479-474-1234. or the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST. I'm unsure if Matthew's family has given a sample of their DNA in case Matthew were ever to enter his own DNA into any genealogy sites. If not, that would be a good idea for them to do to see if they match to someone, a male that they haven't yet met that would be around Matthew's age. I really hope that Matthew is alive out there and that he was treated well by whoever raised him. He may now have a family and children of his own. If and when he finds out his real identity, I hope he gets the chance to be reunited with his biological family. I know his sister Elizabeth is desperate for answers. She's spent her whole life wondering where he is, what he's like, and if they look like, and she does believe he is alive. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate it more than you could possibly know. Please share Matthew's flyer. As always, it will be linked down in the description box, and please share this video if you think it will help. If you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss when I upload each week. It's free to do, and you can always come back later and unsubscribe if you decide my channel isn't your thing. I hope you'll stick with me though and support me in spreading awareness on these cases. I would also highly suggest checking out my entire missing playlist, as each case I cover is super important and each person deserves to be found. Someone out there knows who Kathy is and knows where Michael Wade Crocker is. Perhaps even someone watching this video. So will you be the one who looks away or the one who does something about it? I'll see you all next week.